James Mullinger is a stand-up comedian who left a prosperous career in the UK to relocate to St. John, New Brunswick. Don't get me wrong, love St. John, have spent some beautiful nights there. It's just not where I figured an ambitious young stand-up would go. I mean, James might agree. He said he was told from the get-go, quote, "We don't like comedy in New Brunswick." Since his arrival 4 years ago, James has been proving that wrong. Get this. James has twice sold out St. John's Harbour Station Arena, getting more people to his shows than Iron Maiden, Guns N' Roses, and Alice Cooper when they were in St. John, even more than his comedy hero, Jerry Seinfeld. James's new comedy special, Almost Canadian, drops this week.
Well, comedian James Mullinger played to a sold-out crowd in Montreal this week. Originally from London, England, Mullinger has made a career out of pointing out the differences he notices since moving to the Maritimes.
It's even worse in the rural areas. I was trying to find a gig in Sussex about 6 months ago. I got lost. I asked him for directions, and I swear to God, word for word, he says to me, "Go to the end of this road and turn left at the tree where Donnie crashed his bike in 78.
The award-winning stand-up settled in St. John, New Brunswick with his family 5 years ago, and his career took off. His shows now sell out across the country. His Almost Canadian tour has just earned him a Canadian Comedy Award nomination.
He worked for GQ magazine in London, England. James Mullinger quit that to become a comedian in New Brunswick. Christine Long has a story.
Starting a comedy career in another country, that's a challenge. Yet James Mullinger likes to reflect Canadians back to themselves through a lens of British wit.
Get halfway across the water. Some moron arrives 20 minutes late. We will go back to get that person.
James Mullinger makes Canadians laugh at ourselves, and he thinks we're a bit too humble.
I went there thinking I was going to have to give up stand-up because everyone says, New Brunswick, there's no comedy scene there, or you can't make a living as a comedian there. And that's not outsiders, that's New Brunswickers themselves saying that. And then when you go there and it kind of works out, it can only be a wonderful thing to be celebrated. I think when I played Harbour Station for the first time in 2016, I don't think I thought back then that I'd ever be doing it again. It definitely felt like a kind of a pinnacle of a life's work. It was a dream come true. The last thing I think any of us want in our lives or careers is for the trajectory to be like this. Like, you know, you do something like this, well, the next one needs to be better. You don't want to be plain sailing. You don't want to be crashing and burning. So almost immediately, I after that first show, I started writing the next show. I knew that I didn't want any of the jokes to be the same. I wanted it to be a whole new 90-minute show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the moment that we've all been waiting for. Are you ready? Your headliner tonight is sincerely and genuinely one of the best people I've ever met in my life. He moved to St. John 4 years ago, and in that short period of time, he's done it all. He tours the country, selling out shows everywhere he goes. He's won numerous awards, he's had movies made about his life, and he's put St. John on the world map. 2 years ago today, he filled Harbor Station and recorded a live comedy special that was released internationally, and he's doing it again tonight. So what say you show the world what you're made of, St. John? There we go.
You know, I basically just hit the ground running. I went out and, did hundreds and hundreds of warm-up shows, varying from 10 minutes at open mics.
Our next guy's working on some new materials.
Some brand new stuff.
Some brand new stuff for his
Harbor Station show.
Harbor Station, almost sold out. Is it sold out yet? Almost. So buy tickets. You still got time for tickets. Working on some new stuff. Everybody give it up for James Mullinger.
Thank you. My first gig when I actually moved to this beautiful part of the world 4 years ago was here at Somerset. So I'm on the stage, you know what they say, you play the Somerset when you're on the way out. Through to, turning up unannounced at Yuck Yucks. This time next week I'll be on a stage it's slightly different to this, which hopefully won't have fucking empty seats in the front row. If it is, I am financially fucked, ladies and gentlemen. And I have a 90-minute show that I've been working on for 2 years to perfect, and I have about 10 minutes of it that I'm not sure about yet. Because this job is kind of unlike any other. The only way you can test material is in front of a live audience. Like the Rolling Stones don't rehearse their songs in front of people, but they rehearse them, then they bring them to you. And a novelist wouldn't let you see their unfinished novel, whereas a comedian has to show you our unfinished shit. And so I'm basically just preempting what I'm about to do for you, as it might be shit, maybe. Through to 90-minute shows at the St. John Theatre Company of all new material. Some of those shows were magical and electric, and some of them were absolute disasters. And such is the nature of the beast, just wanting to go out there and just test all these jokes, refine them, hone them. And I had 2 years to do it, so there was really no excuse for this new show in April 2018 to not be good. But anything is possible. And you all said to me, oh no, James, you don't know. There's some very dangerous streets in St. John. And I said, well, there's not. They said, oh no, James, you don't want to go down Waterloo Street after dark. It's dangerous. And I said, well, I've been down Waterloo Street, and the worst that's going to happen is you might see someone sitting on a doorstep with a few less teeth than they'd like. And they said, no, James, you've got to go after dark. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to do this then, because I can't be going around saying it's safe here if I haven't checked it for myself. So I went down Waterloo Street at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not once, 3 times. Because a scientific experiment doesn't count unless you do it 3 times, right? Now, I went to do this just for you, so you don't have to. Now, here's the thing. It's not dangerous. This is what happened to me. This is the worst that's going to happen if you walk down Waterloo Street at 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Walking along. This is how I walk sometimes. What of it, right? I mean, you might have to stop once in a while and say something like, no crack for me today, thank you. All good for the crack, thank you. No, I don't want a blowjob, thank you very much. All set for the blowies, Nice tooth. All to the same person. And then my one punchline will be probably the loudest I get, when I'll go, It turned out the dog was licking my arse. And then, hopefully they'll laugh for quite a long time, and then I go, who knows this? Tyler. Dogs in worse. I'll be honest with you, St. John, I didn't stop. In actual fact, the next time we made love, I actually rubbed peanut butter around my arse. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very, very much indeed for coming out tonight. I think for me, the buzz that I get from these rooms is, of course, the sound. You know, it's the sound of 5,000 people laughing or cheering or whatever it is they're doing. Or, you know, and then, of course, there's the gamble of the fact that, you know, what if 5,000 people don't laugh? Certainly for my own confidence, I nailed the amount that I needed to do in the months building up to the big show. That month, I did like 6 shows in Toronto. I did Miramichi, St. Stephen. And I get it, I get that I have to earn the right. I'll probably be a Canadian before I can actually be called a New Brunswicker, and that's fine, but I'm going to do everything I can within my power to earn that right. I'll be honest with you, I want to make homemade wine. But not just that, I want to make homemade wine out of a blue plastic barrel that I stole before the pulp mill shut down. I want to wear head-to-toe camouflage just to go to Tim Hortons. My name's James Manager, and I am a New Brunswicker. Thank you all very, very much indeed for coming out tonight. I truly appreciate it. This is truly the greatest place in the world, and I'm off home to grow some fiddleheads to sell at the end of my driveway. Thank you very much indeed. Have a nice time. Good night. Love you, team. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. She goes, wah, wah. And I said, well, I live in between the what? Oh, are you okay there? This is fucking amazing. Literally, like in any other gig that lasts like an hour and a half, everyone stays seated. What I love about the She so much is you've all been drinking all day. So everyone's going for a piss every 5 minutes, right? And some comedians or performers would find that a problem. I'm just up here watching this going, you fucking legends, go for it. Yeah, get another drink, put another one out of your handbag. I know you're stockpiled. You're my people, I know what you did. I love you, I love you. Where was I? Yes, so she said, so where do you live? And I said, well, I live in between the wharf and the golf course. And she goes, you don't live in Rothesay, you live in Renforth. Where the fuck do I live? My name's James Mullinger, and I am a New Brunswicker. Thank you all very, very much indeed for coming out tonight. Cheers, nice to meet you, cheers. I know, thank you. No, I can't thank you enough for everything. There we go. Okay, there's one. And the bitter was delicious. Good, thank you. And I was interviewing people at like Hopewell Rocks. It was like a guy from New York, a guy from Vancouver, and he was like, why aren't you all telling people about this? And I'm like, well, I'm trying. We're trying, right? Yeah. Hi, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Hi, Tim. James. Jennifer, lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Highly recommended. The joys of Instagram means that I feel like I'm seeing you guys every day. I followed your family holiday. I was like, doesn't she look nice in the restaurant? Doesn't he look nice in the sea?
I think this is the 5th or 6th time I've seen you, and most of it was
Okay, that's nice to hear, brother. That means a lot. Thank you very much. Look at it. You were the first ones here tonight. First ones here. You know, I probably did about 15 shows in the 3 weeks prior to the big show. So everything was there. Like I had everything in order. I knew where the beats were. The jokes had been honed sufficiently, I felt, and yeah, it all came together, which is a miracle.
hands together for my friend and yours, Mr. James Mullinger!
I said, let's do it again. We're doing it again. This is another dream come true. It's so nice. I can literally see all of your faces, all of you, and I know all of you. I do. I literally know every person. I knew you either in real life or on Facebook, or we've waved at Sobeys at each other. One of the most enjoyable things with these big shows, where it's not just coming on and doing 90 minutes of stand-up and leaving. You know, this is an event. It's an evening out, and I was determined to give everyone coming value for money. I know how hard it is to, you know, get out of the house when you're a parent, or indeed anyone that's been working all week. You got to get babysitters, get taxis in, all this rest. Now I know nights out are expensive, so I wanted to give people a full, big event, festival feeling of a show, and in doing so, that also then gives me the opportunity to essentially showcase some of my favourite, up and coming talent, both on the musical side and on the comedy side, and also it gives me a chance to work with my friends. You know, so it's a really wonderful thing. I mean, the MC was a great friend of mine, Gallant, who's an Australian comedian based in Canada. He's become something of an honorary St. Johnner. Dr. Ansar Hassan is, of course, a world-renowned heart surgeon. And when he's not, wasting his time saving lives, he's telling dick jokes on stage with me. So lucky him. And then in terms of the musical performances, Ethan Ash, who again is, I think most people in New Brunswick would consider him a New Brunswicker now, but he's a British boy from Cambridge, an incredible singer-songwriter. One of my favourite musicians anywhere in the world. Again, he's no stranger to opening for people in arenas. He's opened for that other up-and-comer, Ed Sheeran, who also plays. Yeah, that's exactly how I place myself in the world stage. Me and Ed Sheeran. That's all I'm saying. We sell just the same number of albums. I think my last count was 17 paid-for copies. He could be so lucky. And then Kyla Lingley, who is an incredible opera singer from New Brunswick, now based in London, England. My wife's oldest friend. She's actually the reason that my wife and I met in many ways, because Pam came to England to visit her friend and then stayed. And she's just a world-class opera singer, so to see her perform in this huge space was a dream come true. And then ultimately, my little surprise at the end of the show, when I kind of came back on, I revealed that I would not be closing the show. The amazing Levi Rowan would be, who is again a world-class entertainer, a hip-hop performer from the Greater St. John area, and he tore the roof off. So it was just really nice to see all of these performers get to play a big stage like this, to hang out with them all, and I mean, when I'm booking other acts, it's always essentially just a selfish thing, because I'm just picking the acts that I want to see. So I got to sit out back and watch the show I wanted to watch, and at the same time, everyone else got to see it as well. So it's a wonderful thing when I see those performers and their acts evolve when they get to do these big rooms. So yeah, it's nice. One of the greatest things I think about that last show 2 years ago being released internationally was the fact that we didn't know that was going to happen. Like, we were filming it obviously for City on Fire, for the documentary about St. John, and then it got picked up by Hulu and Amazon Prime after the fact. So normally when you're doing a special that you know is going to be released internationally, you soften some of the local references to make it more palatable for an international audience. I did that gig that night just for all of you, which means that there's people, I mean, you go onto Amazon.com, the American site, there's lots of people going, I don't know what this guy's talking about, I've never heard of Sobeys, where's King Street, right? But the best comment I've ever had was a guy called Nick Sullivan, who's the fashion director of American Esquire magazine, commented on my Instagram feed last week. He said, just watched your stand-up special, very funny, now I desperately need to go to the 3 Mile. That is how you promote St. John. Talk about the 3 Mile on a special. But really the reason that all of this runs so smoothly is my agent, Robert Gallant from Hubcap Promotions, who is I've done various tours with him before. I've done a tour with Nicky Payne that he was the promoter and tour manager on. And I mean, basically the guy's a machine. He runs everything with extremely tight ship, takes no bullshit from anyone, and just makes it happen. And that's really the reason that everything kind of runs so smoothly backstage. He's also, I mean, he takes everything extremely seriously. You know, that's why a show like this goes off without a hitch. Is you know. Someone like that. He's also essentially my beer watcher, where he's basically making sure I don't have too much beer before the show, which, you know, you need someone to do that. And he's an all-round legend, and yeah, love the guy. Like, and it is that thing about being world-class in a small place. What it really means is it's like, don't do what you can get away with. Do it to match up to anything else out there, because everything's global now. People watch it, people travel, people can see it. So everything needs to be as good as it would be anywhere. I should point out, my vasectomy doctor is sitting right there. Give it up for Dr. Scott Bagnall, the master. And the fact is that this is, I do believe this to be the greatest place in the world to live right now, and here's why. If you go to New York or go to London, there's people walking around who've lived there for years, walking around just basically complaining, kind of like we do, but they're walking around and they're going, oh my God, New York was so much better 10 years ago. They're going, London's ruined, it was so much better 20 years ago. But the great thing about living in St. John right now, with all of the boom and all of the amazing things that are happening, the amazing bars and restaurants and culture and all of the wonderful things we have happening, is that no one is walking around St. John right now going, much better 10 years ago. Which basically means, if you're living in St. John, because it gets better every day, it means that if you live here, every day is the best day of your life, right? And every single day it gets better. And I love the fact that, it's true. So about 2 weeks before my 2016 show here, I was in St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall in Rossay, which is my local church. A young photographer, filmmaker by the name of Tyler Warren came up to me and introduced himself and explained that he was a friend of a comedian friend of mine by the name of Travis Boyce, a fantastic St. John comedian. He came up to me and said, I know you're doing this show, Hubcap for you. I'm a photographer, can I come and take some pictures backstage? And I said, of course. He came backstage, shot some pictures, I didn't know what to expect, and the pictures were mind-blowingly good, so good in fact, that when it came time for the Telegraph Journal newspaper to do a story, one of the pictures they used was Tyler's. And then when the stand-up special came out, the publicity shots that were used by Hulu and Amazon Prime were by Tyler. Stills that were used on the DVD cover were by him as well. He told me he was a filmmaker. We started doing films together, which never failed to amaze me with the incredible kind of basically Hollywood-style production values that he was bringing to everything. And of course, during that period, I also launched the Maritime Edit magazine, so Tyler, as well as becoming the chief photographer for that magazine, he shoots and has shot all of our video content from adverts to the first video, which was the video where we launched it and announced it. Anyway, so we've just got an amazing working relationship, an amazing friendship. He's a wonderful human being. So we're very close friends as well, and we hang out when we're not working. But the work that he produces is truly astonishing, and the number of clients that he's added to his roster is testament to that. But I can't remember exactly when it came up. I guess as soon as I knew that I was doing this again, I knew that I wanted him to do this. So I went to him. We discussed budgets, we discussed crew, we discussed concepts. He was as ever, brought amazing ideas to the table. He was quite adamant that he didn't want it to be a bog standard not to criticize stand-up specials that do the rounds. He didn't want it to be the bog standard, camera here and there. He wanted to do interesting things and bring stylistic flourishes to it. All of that is visible in the finished product. There's some truly epic moments, and it's that wonderful synergy where what I do, which is write stupid jokes and perform stupid jokes, with and his understanding of it. I mean, he has followed me throughout the year filming me on the road, so he knew these jokes inside out. And I mean, one of the things which, again, I mean, I'm a film buff. Like, when stand-up's my job, my passion is film. I know nothing about doing it, but I love watching them. But I'm fascinated by cinematography and everything. And there's a wonderful shot when I do my final big punchline, where he obviously knew this was coming, and there's a fantastic, I do the line and the camera shoots back, and there's this tracking shot of the audience.
Just I'm thinking, oh my God, it's so amazing to know that a feeling like this exists. My head jerked slightly to the right, and it turned out the dog was licking my arse.
I mean, only a cinematic genius could pull that off. Only someone that kind of knew the material inside out, which again, it's that attention to detail. Before we released it, sent it out there to Hulu and Amazon Prime and to the DVD company and the distributor and everything, we sent it to some very high-level people. I don't know if I can necessarily name them, but very high-level people at Just for Laughs, some very high-level people who work very closely with Jerry Seinfeld. And they came back with their notes, and their notes simply just that the cinematography, the filmmaking, the editing was absolute. The sound was absolutely spectacular. Any criticisms they had were about the shitty jokes, frankly. So I think that says it all, and it's that thing about I bang on a lot, both in my magazine and in my act, about being world class. In a small place, but it's testament to that. He didn't need to bring what he brought to this film, because let's face it. I mean, who's going to complain?
I will be honest with you, St. John. I didn't stop. In actual fact, the next time we made love, I actually rubbed peanut butter around my... Ladies and gentlemen, I've been James Mullinger. Thank you all very, very much indeed for coming out tonight. You have been a true delight. You made my dreams come true one more time. I can't thank you enough. I love this city more than you can imagine, and I love all of you dearly. Thank you very much indeed. You guys are amazing. I've been James Mullinger. You've been amazing. Thank you very much. And good night. Thank you, St. John. Thank you. Love you. Thank you.
I guess where playing arenas differs from other clubs. The obvious thing is obviously the size and the scale. The odd thing, particularly in this room, especially when we're filming it for a special, is that the audience are somewhat lit. Like, they're not, like, if I'm in an 800-seater theatre, I can't see beyond the front 3 rows. So essentially it's like I'm performing to, 100 people in terms of what I can see. The other 700 are kind of in the dark. Whereas here you really can see everything, and it's quite an odd thing to be up on that stage and to be able to see 5,000 pairs of eyes. It doesn't change it changes the performance somewhat, in that my persona is quite manic, and so in a 100 and 200 seater club, I can be quite manic. What I tend to do in these bigger spaces is actually bring that in a bit to create an illusion of intimacy. So where I might be, I do still pace around a bit, but the technique that I use to create a kind of club style intimacy in a 5,000 seat arena is I make some of the if there's a bit where I'm being somewhat conspiratorial with the audience, I'm kind of being like, no, you can't, like if I'm doing something that's a bit dirtier and I'm trying to draw them into it. I think I do a bit more of that in these arenas so that someone that's sitting at the back feels as intimate as someone that is at the front. But other than that, I don't really change the performance style that dramatically. I still play around with the audience. I still talk to people in the front row. I can still deal with heckles as you know, the same way you would anywhere else. But there is that feeling of it being this kind of different discipline and being, I guess, just slightly more focused.
James Mullinger! James Mullinger! Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ethan Ash and Levi Rowan! Sea Dogs! They're not going to do very well if I start playing, I'll tell you that. Ladies and gentlemen, sincerely, just thank you all for coming. And let me just say, in addition to thank you for all of you and those amazing performers, I want to give a big, big shout out to Lexus of St. John and St. John Toyota, because without them, it literally would have been impossible to do this. You can trust them, you can rely on them, great people. Lexus St. John Toyota. It's been a wonderful evening. I hope you've had half as much fun as I did. If you didn't, you can come and ask me for a refund at Sobeys. You know you're going to see me there. And you all know where I live anyway. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much indeed tonight. I will see you around the neighbourhood. Good night. Love you very much indeed. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you.
So all of those things coming into play, but yeah, I think for me it's the scale of it, and that's why I get a thrill from it. But all of that said, you know, it's a wonderful thing to do, you know, once or twice a year and play something this size. But really, what I live for is, you know, the 200 seaters, the intimacy, and having that kind of connection with crowds. But like I say, I mean, the wonderful thing about Harbour Station, compared to most arenas, is the fact that it is this very manageable size of, you know, like 5,000 seated. Isn't ridiculous. Like that is the size. I mean, in England, that's kind of, there's a lot of theatres that are kind of 4,000, 5,000. So it's not like these 20,000 seater arenas where I do feel there's a disconnect. And I've been to comedy shows in those spaces, and the comedian was too far away. So really, for arenas and certainly for stand-up comedy, Harbour Station is the perfect size. How do I think the show went? I wasn't overly disappointed. You never want to think you've nailed the show, but I mean, I'm happy with the order that I put it in. I hoped it would work well. I was wary of a couple of the dirtier jokes. I'm glad I left them in, I think. And it's weird though, because when you're watching going through the edit process with Tyler and seeing it that way, you know, I'm extremely happy of the product as a piece of film because of the filmmaking. It's not really my place to say whether I think it's any good, but I would say I can't do much better. So if you don't like it, don't come to a show thinking, oh, I hope he's better than that. I won't be. That's as good as I get. Sorry. And the show was well received enough. Oh fuck! I'm trying to think. It's weird because it's not. This is neither interesting nor funny. it's weird. Yeah, you're right. I've got to turn on. Okay. Okay.